Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's story is one that has sent shockwaves through Russia's political elite, rattled the Kremlin's inner circle, and ignited intense debate across the world. Reports, claims, counterclaims, and leaks are flooding in, all pointing to a dramatic moment in Moscow that many analysts are calling one of the most alarming security failures of the Putin era. According to multiple sources circulating across media and intelligence communities, a surprise attack inside Moscow targeted some of the most feared and relentless figures associated with the Kremlin's security and enforcement apparatus. The shock was so intense that, according to these reports, Vladimir Putin himself was rushed to a secure underground bunker as the situation unfolded. Now, before we go deeper, it's important to understand why this moment matters so much. For years, Moscow has been portrayed as an impenetrable fortress. Layers of air defenses, elite security units, intelligence agencies, surveillance systems, and loyal forces have made the Russian capital seem untouchable. The idea that a coordinated strike could hit you security figures in the heart of Moscow challenges the very image the Kremlin has carefully constructed. Whether every detail is confirmed or still emerging, the psychological impact alone is massive. Let's rewind a little to understand who these so-called relentless butchers were. Within Russia's security structure, there are several elite units and shadowy operatives accused by critics and human rights groups of enforcing Kremlin power with extreme brutality. These individuals are often linked to crackdowns on dissent, covert operations, and brutal actions both inside Russia and beyond its borders. To Putin, they represent loyalty, fear, and control. To his opponents, they symbolize repression and violence. That's why the reported elimination of several such figures right in Moscow is being described as unprecedented. According to early accounts, the attack was swift, precise, and shocking. It did not resemble a random act or an amateur operation. Instead, analysts suggest it bore the hallmarks of careful planning, deep intelligence penetration, and possibly inside knowledge. Targets were reportedly moving through what was considered a secure zone under heavy protection. Yet somehow, the attackers knew the timing, the routes, and the vulnerabilities. This alone has raised terrifying questions within the Kremlin. Who leaked the information, and how deep does the breach go? As news of the attack spread through Moscow's security channels, panic reportedly rippled through the upper echelons of power. Emergency protocols were activated almost instantly. Streets near key government buildings were sealed off, air defenses were put on high alert, and communications inside the Kremlin went into overdrive. It was during this chaotic window, sources claim, that Vladimir Putin was moved to a fortified bunker designed to withstand worst-case scenarios, including missile strikes and internal coups. Putin's bunkers have long been the subject of speculation. Built during the Cold War and upgraded over decades, these underground facilities are said to be equipped with advanced communications, independent power supplies, and life support systems capable of sustaining leadership for extended periods. The fact that Putin would reportedly retreat to one during a crisis inside Moscow speaks volumes about the perceived severity of the threat. This was not a routine security drill. This was something that shook the system. Inside the Kremlin, trust is everything, and moments like this eroded quickly. When an attack happens so close to the core of power, paranoia follows. Security agencies begin to suspect one another. Intelligence officers question whether foreign adversaries have infiltrated their ranks. Loyalists wonder who might turn next. In authoritarian systems, fear is a tool of control, but it can also become a weapon that turns inward. Internationally, reactions have been swift and intense. Western analysts are split into several camps. Some believe this attack, if confirmed in its full scope, represents a dramatic escalation in covert operations against Russia. Others argue it could be the result of internal power struggles, factional rivalries, or even false flag narratives designed to justify further crackdowns. Regardless of the interpretation, one thing is clear: Moscow no longer looks untouchable. Social media and independent Russian channels exploded with rumors and speculation. Videos claiming to show emergency convoys, blocked roads, and heavy security movements spread rapidly before being taken down. Official Russian media initially remained silent, then released carefully worded statements downplaying the incident and insisting that the situation was under control. This pattern itself raised eyebrows, as silence in such moments often signals confusion behind the scenes. For ordinary Russians, the psychological impact is profound. For years, the state has insisted that threats come only from outside, that stability is guaranteed by strong leadership and firm control. But when violence appears to erupt at the heart of power, it undermines that narrative. People begin to ask uncomfortable questions. If Moscow isn't safe, what is? If elite forces can be targeted, what does that mean for the rest of the country? Meanwhile, within Putin's inner circle, the pressure is reportedly immense. Hardliners are said to be pushing for immediate retaliation, tighter security laws, and expanded surveillance. Others fear that overreaction could expose further weaknesses or fuel public anxiety. Historically, moments like this often lead to purges, reshuffles, and sudden disappearances of officials deemed insufficiently loyal or competent. Another critical angle to consider is the timing. Russia is already under significant strain from prolonged conflict, economic pressure, sanctions, and internal dissatisfaction. Morale among security forces has reportedly been uneven, with fatigue and frustration growing. An attack like this, striking symbolic figures, lands at a moment when the system is already stressed. That makes its impact even more dangerous. Some analysts are drawing parallels to historical moments when authoritarian regimes faced sudden shocks. In many cases, such events did not immediately topple leadership, but they marked turning points. They exposed cracks, emboldened opposition, and forced rulers into defensive postures. Retreating to a bunker, even temporarily, is a powerful symbol. It suggests fear, vulnerability, and uncertainty, even if officials deny it. There is also the question of who benefits. If this was an external operation, it sends a message that Russia's core is vulnerable. If it was internal, it signals a dangerous fragmentation within the power structure. In either case, the implications are enormous. Allies may start questioning Russia's stability. Rivals may see opportunity. And within the country, loyalties may quietly shift. As more details continue to emerge, one thing remains consistent across reports: the Kremlin is deeply shaken. Security measures in Moscow are reportedly tighter than ever. Checkpoints have increased, background checks intensified, and elite units reshuffled. These are not the actions of a system that feels confident. They are the actions of a system bracing for more shocks. Putin's leadership style has always relied on projecting strength and control. Images of calm authority, decisive action, and unshakable confidence are central to his rule. The idea that he had to flee to a bunker, even briefly, challenges that image in a profound way. Even if state media never confirms it, the rumor alone carries power. In politics, perception often matters as much as reality. Critics argue that this moment exposes the long-term cost of ruling through fear. When power is concentrated and dissent crushed, grievances don't disappear. They go underground, waiting for moments of weakness. Whether this attack was driven by foreign intelligence, internal enemies, or a complex mix of both, it reflects deep tensions beneath the surface. Supporters of the Kremlin, on the other hand, insist that Russia has faced worse challenges and survived. They argue that the state's security apparatus is still strong, that swift action prevented greater damage, and that enemies should not underestimate Russia's resilience. This narrative is already being pushed aggressively on state television and official platforms. But even resilience has limits. Each shock drains resources, trust, and legitimacy. Each emergency response reveals how fragile stability can be. The reported elimination of key security figures is not just a tactical loss, it's a symbolic one. These individuals were meant to embody control. Their sudden removal suggests that control is not absolute. As the world watches, the coming weeks will be critical. Will there be visible retaliation? Will there be purges within the security services? Will new laws further restrict freedoms under the banner of safety? Or will the Kremlin attempt to quietly stabilize, hoping the storm passes without further damage? One thing is certain: this incident, real in its core even if details remain contested, has changed the conversation. Moscow is no longer just the center of power. It is now seen as a potential battlefield in a wider, shadowy struggle, and Vladimir Putin, long portrayed as untouchable, is now being discussed in the context of bunkers, emergency evacuations, and survival. As more information comes out, we will continue to break it down, separate fact from fiction, and analyze what it truly means for Russia, for the region, and for global security. History often turns not on loud declarations, but on quiet moments of fear behind closed doors. And if reports are accurate, this was one of those moments. Stay with us, because this story is far from over. The aftershocks are still unfolding, and what happens next could reshape the balance of power in ways few anticipated.